What is up, everybody? Get my phone set up here. All right, let's get a couple more minutes on to see who's all joining us tonight. Hope you guys have your cup of coffee. Hold on. This computer has a CD-ROM drive. It just popped out on the screen. Alrighty. Okay, guys. So I hope you guys have some sort of coffee. What's up, Lissa? You are here on time. What's up, girl? That must mean that Brianna's live wasn't as long, or she started early. I can't remember if she was starting early or not. But all right, guys. I hope you guys brought a cup of coffee, cup of tea, cup of water, diet soda, whatever you got. We have a phenomenal human being on here tonight that is going to be telling us all about his journey. Y'all, if you don't follow him, follow him. We've been friends for about a month now, probably a little over than that. We met here on Facebook, and he is just crushing it. He's crushing the weight loss, and he moved over to iTrackBites a while ago, and so this is fun. Everybody joining in, let me know where you're from. Yada yada. New people here, let me know if you're new. Hope you guys, if you're new here, we got over 100 and something people on our Facebook Live right now. I'm not sure about Instagram, but there is people here tonight to get to know Paul and get to know his journey. I hope you guys enjoyed last week's, and it was such a good turnout that we decided to do another one today. So without further ado, I like to ramble, so I'm not going to ramble so much. I am going to turn it over and bring Paul on. That way we can get the party started, get to know him, figure out everything. If you guys have questions for him, put them in the comment box below, and I will try to bug him and come in every now and then and ask him a question. But we have found that with us using Restream, when we have two people on a split screen, it's very hard to see it on Instagram's side. For some reason, Instagram's just crazy when it comes to stuff like this. So we will do it to where there's not a lot of split screen mode, just when I introduce him and we get to talking. And then when he is talking, I'll be doing it like I did last week and put it all over to him. So, and Paul, we have a lot of Illinois people here. So that's I know. And it's so funny. I can see you in the background. I don't know if you can probably see me now because I'm live, but we have a lot of people from Illinois, and if you don't know, Paul will talk about that too. So hello from Pennsylvania, California. You guys are awesome. Thanks for showing up. First timers are here. Alrighty. Lissa, you need to tell Brianna it was nice that her live started 30 minutes early. Keep that going so people get here on time. All right, so without further ado, let's bring on Paul. Let me make sure I got my volume up because knowing me, I don't have my volume up. All right, 1, 2, 3. What's up, Paul?
Hi.
Oh my gosh, this is so funny to actually see you because I haven't really heard your voice before, so that's awesome. You never talk in your videos, so I can't really know.
Well, I do sometimes. Also, like my wife and I were discussing. So, do I call you Jordan or do I call you Clyde?
So what's funny is a lot of people think that my first name and last name is Jordan Clyde. Like Jordan's my first name, last name's Clyde. Clyde is actually my middle name.
Okay.
So people always call me Jordan Clyde, and that's where I kind of got it from. You can call me Jordan. People call me Clyde all the time. It doesn't really matter. I was called Clyde from the very beginning to now, so here I am. So whatever you feel like calling me, Paul, you can call me whatever you want.
Okay, we'll stick with Jordan then.
Awesome. So let's go ahead and start introducing yourself. Let's get to know you better. I figured we would start from the very beginning of the journey and then kind of work our way down to where you're at today, because I know we got about an hour on here, so it'll take a little while. But without further ado, I think we just need a quick intro from you. Let us know who you are, where you're from, what you're doing right now, and then we'll go into it, okay?
Okay. My name is Paul Fee. I'm from Chatham, Illinois, Springfield, Illinois. Home of Abe Lincoln, home of Bart Simpson, whichever you want to. We don't really have anything Simpsons related, but we have a ton of stuff Abe Lincoln related. You kind of get tired of them when you're from around here. But I started. I am a paraprofessional, which, if you don't know what a paraprofessional is, it's a teacher's aide, and basically I help special ed students in the classroom. And with that, I will help with homework, help with teacher stuff. Basically, I've basically always called myself basically a sidekick. And with being a sidekick, there's a lot to it. There's a lot that gets done that you don't really see on top of the scenes, and that's something that I like to do. I like being, like behind the scenes sort of thing. So it's really nice for me. And also it's a Monday through Friday for me. So that's pretty nice. I do have a wife. Her name's Serena. She is a really smart lady, and I couldn't do all this without her, that's for sure. And I wouldn't be doing this without her, but I'll get more into that later. What else? What else about me? I mean, that's really all about me.
How old are you, Paul?
Oh, I'm 34 years old. I think. Yes, I'm 34. But I'm 34, but I feel like I'm in my 20s. And when I was in my 20s, I felt like I was in my 30s and 40s. So I'm 30, age 34, but I really feel like I'm in my 20s at this point.
That is awesome. I love hearing that because it's just so crazy how much weight, and it's not even like a weight loss thing to look good, but it's to feel good. Like when you have those extra pounds on you, you just don't realize it. Like you think about like how much a gallon of milk weighs, and you're like, wow, just picking that up out of the fridge. Imagine how many of that you've lost.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. You're close to Springfield, Illinois, Northwest Indiana here. Hey. So eventually, we'll meet in Maryville or something like that. There you go.
There we go.
Go to Chili's. So let's get started from the very beginning. So where were we at? What possessed you to get to where you are right now? Like, where was there a moment in your life that you're like, okay, I need to lose weight? Obviously, you've lost 140 plus pounds. You're still losing now. What got you to that point to needing to lose weight?
For me, the big point to lose weight was right. It was right as they were starting to switch to a digital scale. Actually, I swear, like as soon as I stepped on the scale, like they switched to digital scales. But for my one annual physical that I had with the doctor, I stepped on the scale and the scale did this. So basically, I topped it out. So for that, I couldn't be weighed that day. So, but I knew around home that we had a digital scale. So I weighed 409.8 pounds. And with that, so when I went in, like I couldn't be weighed, but I could tell them, hey, I weigh 409.8 pounds. And basically what started it for me was A, not being able to weigh on the scale because that really bothered me. And B, the first doctor that I went to, when I went to him, he basically wanted to make a medical thing out of me. And he wanted to basically make my medical bills like rise substantially because he wanted to send me to like 6 different specialists. And that wasn't really something that I wanted, because I just felt like I wasn't a patient to him. I felt like I was more just money. And so I got a second opinion and I went to the doctor that I currently go to now. And with him, like he talked to me and he said, okay, well, and I kind of told him my problems that I had with the last guy. And he basically saw me as a person and he said, okay, we're going to go in and we're going to schedule you appointment after appointment. But what we're going to do, instead of you going to see different specialists, you're going to come see me. But each time you come see me, I want you to have a goal. So I believe the first one was like 3 months. And I had I don't remember how much it was that I had to lose in those 3 months, but that was my goal. That was it was something that was attainable to me. And one thing with myself is I grew up with ADHD. And the one thing that has always pushed me forward has been either A, when you didn't believe in me, or B, if you did believe in me, which sounds really weird. But if you did, growing up, I always was told that I was not going to graduate the 8th grade. I was told in kindergarten and there were several other grades that they told me that you are not going to graduate 8th grade. Well, I took that, and with the help of family, like I pushed forward. I pushed forward to prove people wrong, and it was kind of the same thing with this. Um, like I pushed forward to prove that other doctor wrong. Like I knew that I didn't need the healthcare doctors and stuff to do this. I knew I could do it on my own, but I knew that it would take a lot of work in order to put that forward. And so for the first like 3 months, like I surpassed that goal. And so then I think he put out 6 months after that, and he gave me another goal to hit. And from there, I eventually got it to where now I'm just seeing him every year for an annual physical. And the coolest part about it all was the last appointment that I went to. Like he was talking to one of I don't remember his techs, and like as he's walking out the door, I heard from his mouth, he said, "Wow, that kid's an inspiration." Like as he's walking out the door, to hear that from your doctor, it was amazing.
That is awesome, honestly, because when I had my virtual with my doctor, she's like, you, how's your weight going? I'm like, well, gain some of it back. She goes, you really should start doing it. I said, COVID, I know. I'm sorry. We're getting onto it. But so my question to you is, because you went to the doctor, when you went to the doctor and found out that like you topped the scales, you were in the 400s, like what was the doctor telling you then? Like especially not really what the first doctor was, because he was probably feeding you a line of baloney, but especially the second doctor. Was he looking at you going like, hey, if you keep this up, this is where you're going to be. This is what you could end up getting. I mean, did you have any illnesses going into them, or was it just a yearly checkup? And with that on, you were just like, I want to lose weight, and he's like, well, let's get going.
For me, it was like he did the usual doctor thing of if you keep going, this is what it could lead to. He also kind of went the other way of this could be possible. Like we could, like one thing that he talked about for me was that it could be possible that we could meet every year. And I was like, of course I want to just meet every year. Like I don't want to be in here every 3 months. I don't want the medical bills to pile up in a whole different way, but also I want to get healthy. I want to basically do things that other people do, even if that's just getting back down to the early 300s, which was what I was used to. Like basically almost all my life I was 300 to 350. So I was like, cool, if I can get down there and stay down there, then I think I'll be okay. Because then I'll still have lost weight and I'll make him happy. I'll make me happy. Honestly, I didn't think that this was possible, like where I am now is possible, because I think for me, I don't know that I've weighed this since middle school-ish.
That's amazing, honestly. I guess my question now to you is, so what'd you start doing? You know what I mean? That's the magical question. That is what everybody is going to ask you. That's probably what people ask you if they haven't seen you for a while, or if they find out your journey, especially on Instagram. They're probably like, what are you doing? What did you do? So like now I know you're on iTrackBites now, Better Balance, stuff like that, but like what did you start doing? Like did the doctor tell you, hey, start doing your calories, or hey, just stop soda, yada yada?
This literally sounds cheesy, but it literally started with the stuff. For me, like I just started walking, and I knew if I could just do it slowly but surely, but not do a complete like all at once, I knew that I would eventually be more successful. So what would happen would be I just started walking. One thing that really gets me walking, one thing that really gets me going is music. I love musicals. I love Disney. All those things really just get me walking. And also musicals and Disney, like if you're going to compare your life to anything, it's going to be those. And so they're so relatable. And so it really helps me keep me pushing forward, and it helps keep motivating me. And then also, like both my wife and I, we started talking about this, and we're like, okay, what can we do from here? Like, what can we do in order to make this more successful? Like, what do we need to meal plan? So that's when we started going to Weight Watchers, and that's when we went to Weight Watchers. I don't even remember which one it was. Points Plus Points. I don't remember which one it was, but we started going during that time, and it was just slowly but surely the weekly meetings. We went on Saturday morning to meetings. I mean, there's not much more dedicated than I guess in Saturday mornings. Nobody wants to get up early on a Saturday morning to go weigh in. But we got up on Saturday mornings because one, that's the lightest I'm going to be during the day. So I kind of cheated in that mode because
I'm sorry, I'm laughing in the background. That's funny.
yeah, because I haven't eaten anything all day. So I'm like, this is the lightest I'm going to be. So we went on Saturday mornings, but the one thing that I felt was missing was I felt like a lot of it with Weight Watchers on Saturday mornings was, no offense to anybody out there, but it wasn't people my age. It was older people, and I just felt I couldn't compare to anything because we were all doing the same journey, but I didn't feel like anything was mine. And so,
That
so go for
I
it.
hate to pause you, but that I feel like is the icing on the cake to everybody in their 20s and their 30s, men especially. I know that that was one thing, way back in my Weight Watcher days was, I got my books from my mother-in-law. You know what I mean? And I'm 30 right now and she's like 52. So, I mean, back in the day when I did it, it was coming from my mother-in-law that went to the local Weight Watcher meeting. It wasn't like I was going because there was nobody there my age. What would I do? Where you would see a coach, they would coach you, they would say, "Hey, this is what we're doing." Other than that, you didn't have somebody, like in your 30s or 20s that's right there being like, "I got you, bro. This is what we're doing." This was way before that time that you're talking about was way before Instagram, anyways, or really
Yeah.
how it is now.
Yeah, and so like I didn't really feel like I could relate to anybody. And also like it's kind of embarrassing to be like when you're in your late 20s or so, and you're telling your guy friends, "Hey, I'm doing Weight Watchers." They're like, "Wait, you're doing Weight Watchers?" Like the Weight Watchers was not geared toward people my age. So to have that, like, but they could tell that something was going on. So the fact that they were doing like we were doing Weight Watchers, but it was being successful, but still you kind of got that weird like side eye, like you're a guy doing Weight Watchers, like it's not meant for you. So I mean, there was that. But I did have success with Weight Watchers, a lot of success. So I have nothing against Weight Watchers. It was time to move on. It was time, and that's when I found here.
No, that's awesome. I feel like even now, 2020, we don't see a lot of men even in the 80s. So I was very excited to number one meet you a month ago on Instagram, but number two to have you now on like my as my sidekick of being like, hey, I finally have a guy doing the same thing. We're on the weight loss journey with iTrackBites, and it's like finally can see that because. And you probably know this, and tell me your preference for this because I really want to get into like your wife because with her have been doing Weight Watchers with you and all that stuff, and I don't know if she's still doing iTrackBites with you right now, but for me and my wife, the point difference was crazy. Daily bites to what my wife had. Is that kind of how it was for you? Like, how was that? You both on the same program, same plan, but yet totally astronomical for being the age you are, male, and height. Like,
Yeah, for us, I mean, we've kind of like start definitely starting off. I got way more points, way more everything than her for everything, and so it was real. I know for her, it was probably really hard planning meals and stuff because like I got way more, and then I would be like, "Hey, I still have 6 points left. Like, what am I gonna do?" And then like she would be like, "Hey, I don't have points left." So I mean, I did feel bad in that point, and it's kind of similar now with the bites, um, but I think we've learned to adapt to where basically it's kind of we do a plan together, but also it's our own individualized plan. And so like one thing that we'll do together is we will go map out like breakfast, lunch, dinner together. Well, she will. She'll just tell me what it is. To be honest, I've got to be completely honest at that point. She is a lifesaver for me for this journey. Without her, I don't know that I would be near as successful. But we basically together kind of. She asked me what I want, and then we pointed out together, and then from there, we kind of make a daily plan, and then we also go through and not only with the daily plan, but also through our grocery budget and stuff. We'll be like, hey, what do we want for the next week? And she is beyond phenomenal. And my journey would not be near as successful without her. That's for sure.
That is awesome. I feel the same way with my wife. Like, even if she's not in the tracking mode, or she's kind of not doing it at the moment, or if anything like that ever happens, she always is there to. Even when I first lost my weight in 2016, she was nowhere to be found as far as on the weight loss journey side, but she still knew, like, okay, I'm getting out the cup measuring spoon, or I'm getting out the food scale, because I know when he comes home from work, he's going to weigh out his mashed potatoes, stuff like that. So spouses are very good, like, very good in the weight loss aspect, because they're there for you whether they're doing it with you or not. And that's kind of like how we have to be too, which you obviously understand that as a husband, is like, even if you weren't doing it, now like, you have to be there for each other. You know what I mean?
Oh, for sure.
So we got you now in the 6-month mark after seeing the doctor. You probably lost, I'm guessing, probably like 60-ish pounds, maybe even more around then, correct? Like
probably about 50, 60, yeah, somewhere in there.
50, 60. Okay, so where are we at now? Like, what continue on where that is leading you?
Okay. So basically from there, I had a 3-month appointment, and then I had a 3-month appointment, and I had a 6-month, and then he finally said, okay, now I've seen your success. Now I'll see you in a year, and let's try and get about 20 pounds. And I'm like, okay. So from there, I just kept pushing forward. I kept running, and then all of a sudden there was this weird thing where I wanted, well, actually, let's go back a bit to kind of bring it forward. One thing that Serena started doing, she started doing a weight loss Instagram. And first off, when I first heard about it, I was like, this is dumb. Why are we doing this? This is not a thing that people do. So I was very against it at first. And then, like most things that she says with me, if I find somebody else that does it that's not her doing it, then I all of a sudden want to do it. So I think I had found somebody else that was doing it that I knew was doing it. So now it was all of a sudden cool. And so I started off my weight loss Instagram, but I was just limiting it to Instagram. I was not going to show my people around here, people that I knew on Facebook and stuff. I was only going to show Instagram people. So I started that. And from there, it was just like finding stuff that I found in common with people. And this was before the next appointment. And so like that helped push me forward to eventually where I kept walking farther. I kept tracking, and it was just keeping that moving forward. And it was just like, I'll be honest, like I've been on this journey 6 and 10 years. And I only lose about 25 to 30 pounds a year. And right now, like this past year, I've maybe lost 10. So it's slowing down, but it's just the keeping moving forward that has really like motivated me, and also finding like new stuff. Like, and that's one thing that's really helped with the social media, finding new stuff that I want to do, and just keeping that moving forward. And that's the one thing that helped motivate me as I started off, because it was finding what worked for me, and finding what worked for me for those 3 months, and just keeping on, not only keep doing that, but keep adding to it.
So with tracking, you're saying probably after you were just saying when you started Weight Watchers, started tracking all that stuff faithfully, how did your tracking look? Like, were you faithful, like everything in your mouth, you're doing it? Were you like any of us other guys that are like, I'm going to track 6 days a week, take off the 7th as an off day, or whatever, yada, yada? Like, how was that for you starting out? I know a lot of people, when they first start tracking, they like are religious. Like, no, I can't. I always reference my story with my wife when my mom was in the hospital on Mother's Day at that time in 2016, that I wouldn't go to Golden Corral because I could not figure out how to track it. Could not figure out how to put in my tracker. And I only had 50-some points for the day, and there's no way I could, and ruined the whole night and had the worst experience. So, people are like that. How are you?
Oh, my tracking was a joke. Like Serena would track everything, and I'd be very hit and miss if I'm honest, on Weight Watchers. And so a lot of it, like even there for a short time, like on Weight Watchers, it was okay, as long as I'm not feeling like I'm overeating, and as long as I'm feeling like I'm working out and all this stuff, and I keep seeing the scale go down, then I'm fine. But eventually that scale doesn't move anymore. And so I even like probably, especially towards the end of Weight Watchers, I wasn't a faithful tracker because honestly, the tracker got me down. I would lose points. I kept losing points, and that was weirdly depressing because I was losing weight, but I was also losing points. So stuff that I was used to getting before, I'm not getting now. And also, too, like when you see yourself going over the amount of points that you do, and it's weirdly strange how much of an impact your your tracker has, like getting a blue dot has, to your day. So when you go outside blue dot range, you're like, oh, okay, I'm outside blue dot range. But it was a weird thing that it had an impact on me. So eventually I noticed, like I started tracking less and less. And I've kept telling myself, like, okay, if I get this workout in, and I keep running and I keep doing all this, then I'll be fine. And I really hate that was part of me, but I understand, like it really like got to the point that it was a part of me, and I really hated it. So eventually like tracking just kept lacking, and but I knew I was keeping within my range, so that really helped me.
Okay, so pretty much the way I'm hearing it is like, you were on Better Balance, or on Better Balance. That's kind of the point for the Better Balance program on iTrackBites, is to get you set up with the tools that you have so many free foods to start your day with that. You know what I mean? And I feel like so many people, when they get onto Better Balance and they've been on like Carb Conscience or Conquer Cravings or yada yada, they feel like, okay, well, I'm going to use all 30 of my points for that ice cream sandwich and then feel like I'm starving. When it's like, no, you need to be focusing on these lean meats, vegetables, stuff like that as your meals, then add in your sides. You know what I mean? If you're having mashed potatoes, have a half a cup of mashed potatoes with it, stuff like that. So, do you feel like with you being on Better Balance, and I feel like that probably helped you with, this is just me looking at it, that kind of helped you with losing the weight even when you weren't tracking as much because one, your wife was still tracking. Two, you were eating the foods they were, and you're mindful of knowing, well, those are zero. Like
Yeah.
do you feel like that kind of, like if you were on something else, say you were on Better Balance or on Carb Conscious, do you feel like you starting out with Better Balance and still doing Better Balance has gotten you this far rather than a different one that's like nothing is free? You know what I'm saying?
Mhm. Oh, for sure. Yeah, definitely when Weight Watchers introduced the free foods, that really helped me out a lot because I knew that I could go to that, and I knew that that was something that we always had, usually had a good quantity of. So that really helped me push me forward because, and also it helped me like want to eat the fruits and veggies. I haven't really been a fruits and veggies person, but it really helped me introduce, like helped get me to eating the fruits and veggies. And so I think that helped out a lot. And also, especially when they started introducing like the lean turkey and the lean turkey and that sort of thing, that really helped me out a lot because I knew, like, for example, coming home from school or coming home from a job, I knew that that was always something that I could go to, that while I'm waiting for Serena to make dinner, for example, I knew that was something I could go to and I could stop snooping around the kitchen or bothering her in the kitchen.
Oh, sorry. That is awesome, honestly. So we have you down. You've been crushing it on the weight loss journey. Caught you saying before that the scale eventually stops. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so the scale eventually stopped, and that really I was only walking at that point, and so eventually I decided to do something really strange. Like I have a friend who started running, and I decided that I really wanted to start running, but I didn't know how to start. And so one day I just like it was I saw like I was walking And I was like, okay, I'm going to get to the next light pole and I'm going to run to the next light pole. Well, I got about halfway to the light pole and then I was just done. So it was slowly just doing that, just finding something new to better like push my body to where I felt like to remotivate myself, I guess, because definitely sometimes the scale, like when it stalls, we're just like, we don't know what to do. And so I needed to find something new to push me forward. And so I started running. Like when I started my walks, I think I was at a 22-minute mile, something like that's really like beginner. And eventually, like with my running, I got it up to a 17-minute mile, like with running intervals. And like that really helps push me forward to want to continue to do it more. And also, too, one thing that really helped was at the time when I was 400 plus pounds, I was in social services. I was a case manager for a residential home, and so
That's why we're best friends. Oh my God, I knew there was some. I knew there was healthcare in there somewhere.
yeah, so I was a case manager for a residential home, and honestly, when I went into when I got my degree in sociology, and what I really wanted to do was just help people. Like that was the main thing that I went into because I am a major helper. And so with that, like I found the job in case management, but what they don't tell you is case management is basically just a lot of paperwork. You don't get much time with the individuals. It's a lot of paperwork and it's a lot of stuff that keeps getting added on to you. And so with that paperwork and everything, that brought a lot of stressors to me. A lot of late nights. I was on call. So there were nights that, like, I hate to say it, but there were nights that it was 2 double cheeseburgers for dinner. It was 2 double cheeseburgers and fries. It was basically just junk food all the time just to help me because I'm at the office 8, 9 o'clock at night because during the day I can't do it because I'm doing other stuff. So I'm trying to get my paper organized late at night. And so like the weight just keeps adding on, plus the stress, plus everything. And honestly, I don't know how I didn't have some sort of health problem coming out of that.
No, that hey, I get that. Like just putting into my personal touch of kind of what happened with me is when went back into healthcare for this last time when I swore to my wife I was not getting back into healthcare. Um, it's like I now am an administrator, and so I run a whole entire facility myself. And it's like I literally gained 30 pounds from December 23rd when I opened or when I took the position till now. Like I'm gradually losing now, but all the way up to my weight gain was, and I will say it's stress.
Mm-hmm.
So, and you know that. I mean, because there are times to where it's like I don't take lunch till 2 o'clock because I had an admit or I had this and that. And then it's like, well, I'm going to go through the drive through. And then it's the 2 double cheeseburgers and fries because that's something cheap and easy. And you get it going instead of, because I couldn't eat the lunch at the facility, which normally, I could get a salad because the kitchen's already closed at 2 o'clock, stuff like that. So I understand that. So do you find now that with you being in paraprofessional, with the school system, all that stuff, it's on a set schedule, hey, this is what's going? Like, I
Uh-oh.
know you've been, like, when you were in school, like, obviously you've been losing weight while you were still working in school. So did you find that switching over to that career, that's different lifestyle for work, that helped you in your journey at all?
Oh, for sure. That journey definitely has me on my feet a lot more. Not only on my feet, but also like literally on my toes because anything could change at a given moment. And I'm just so thankful that I didn't start this career at 400 pounds. I probably started it around 300, 320-ish. But I'm just so thankful that I am not where I am today because I'm not where I was because like with that, like there's so much stress and there's so much from going from here to there and you're always on the go. And when I get home at night, I'm so exhausted, but I haven't done that much. But it's just the going and the going and the going and the constant mind, like you're trying to have to relearn middle school math. and you're having to learn what an adverb is and all this. And it's just, oh my goodness, that plus the physical part, like it really takes a toll out on you. And yet then I'm still coming home at night and I'm getting a workout in. I'm getting a 5K in. I'm just trying to get something in, trying to separate the home life or with the work life from the home life. One thing that I try and do is, like, as soon as I get home, like, it's getting that 20 minutes or so to myself. Sometimes I'll do video games. Sometimes I'll do working out, just something that can separate my work life from my home life. And that's me time. And that's so essential. Something that is so essential is that you keep with that and you find that you time, because that's really going to help in your weight loss journey. Even if it's not every day, just doing that. But with the social services part, like, I didn't have that. By the time I came home, I was just exhausted. I didn't have time for me time. It was just burger and fast food and then bed.
So okay, so I'm literally doing the comments, soaking all this stuff in, because it's literally like I'm John Glad from Obese to Beast here. Like, I don't know if people are in the comments and they know who that is. But like, your journey, you're talking about everything from childhood, everything. I feel like I'm talking to him on a podcast, because I mean, you already know who he is. You know what I mean? But it's like, your journey so far is just phenomenal, because you're not even where you want to be at, but just, I don't know, it's breathtaking. It's speechless, honestly, for me, especially as a guy, like, telling you, like, it's crazy to think that, number one, you were 140 pounds heavier than what you are now, and number two, like, you're still going on with it. So what do you find now? Like, what is your day like now? So obviously quarantine, of course, or, yada yada, social distance. But like, what does your day look like now? Like, getting up in the morning, working out, eating, yada yada.
Well, when it first came to quarantine, like, I wasn't sure what my day was, because I was used to getting up, going to school. Like, the kids are my life, like, Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. And now all of a sudden you're taking that away. And you're like, it was a weird, like, we didn't even get to say goodbye. It was just, boom, you're home. And for us, for paraprofessionals, like, we didn't have much that we could do. Like, we could help out the teachers here and there. So one thing that I did was I implemented a weekly Zoom meeting with my students, just to have that interaction, just to have, not for, I'll be honest, not for them for normalcy, for me for normalcy, just seeing them all the time, or seeing them once a week. That was enough for me. But for this, a lot of it, usually in the mornings, we'll wake up. Since joining iTrackBites, we've done the fasting program, so we won't eat breakfast till like 10 a.m. But we'll get up, do coffee, and that sort of thing. And then from there, usually for me, it's house chores, just keeping moving, dishes, laundry, all that stuff, because the wife's working. I'm at home. I'm a house husband. And I'm okay with it.
Love that.
I'm a house husband, and I'm okay with it, because it's something that I feel that I can contribute. That's one thing that I'm all about, is contributing and being the helper. So like, I'm doing some sort of chore throughout the day, just trying to help her. And our house isn't perfect still, but it is what it is. It's better, as long as it looks better at 4 p.m. when she gets out of the office than it did at 8 a.m. when she went into the office. And our office is in our house. So as long as she sees progress throughout the day, then I keep her happy. But anyways, so usually I'll have lunch I'll have breakfast around 10, and then usually lunch around 12 to 1. And then usually after lunch, I usually try and get some sort of workout in, unless I'm running. And if I'm running, then I'll run early in the morning, just because it's so hot in the afternoon. Like this morning, I went for a 10K, which is 6.2 miles. I did that this morning because I knew it was going to be hot this afternoon. But usually it's 2 days of some sort of cardio, 2 days of 2 to 3 days of some sort of strength, with maybe something else thrown in there just for fun. But that is basically my routine. And that is really what's gotten me through COVID, because I started off COVID like not having a routine, and my weight did start to go up, and I was not about to have that. I told myself basically at one point that I am not going back to school whenever that may be. Actually, I told myself in the fall, but that I'm not going to be heavier than when I came out, because there's going to be so many teachers, there's so many just people in general that when they return to work, they're going to be heavier. And I told myself that was not going to be me. I've come too far for this. I just keep pushing forward and just got to keep pushing forward, because honestly, like when I sit down, then it's like, okay, well, then you get on social media and then it's like, okay, here's everything that's going on in the world. And that's no fun. So I decided like during this time to work on myself, and that's one thing that's really helped. And what really helps motivate you is when the few times that you do get to see people out, and people can tell that pre-quarantine versus now, like they can tell a difference in you. And it's not just because like like probably about a year ago, I started sharing not just on Instagram, but also Facebook, like the people that I actually know in my life on Facebook, like I started sharing my journey with them. And so like usually I'll share a workout just because like, hey, here's what I do to keep myself accountable. And so just to see like them out in public, and they tell me like, you can tell a true difference in you, like from quarantine to now, or you can tell that those workouts are really working for you. That is what has really kept pushing me forward.
I like that. I like that a lot. So right now, Paul, you're sitting at 140-ish pounds lost. Where do you go from now? Where do you go now? Like, what is your goal? Like, what's the finish line for you to go to maintenance?
Honestly, I've thought about that a lot recently. And one thing that I've started doing is I've started relying less on the scale. I made a decision last week just to kind of like, I usually weigh in every morning just to check, just to kind of keep myself accountable, but it's not posting every week anymore for me. Now I'm posting at the end of every month just to help like tell everyone like I'm out there and this is what it is at the end of the month, because it's not so much about weight loss for me anymore. I'm still trying to lose weight, but what I'm noticing right now is that it's more about like I go through phases, really. I'll go through phases of weight loss, and then I'll go through phases of body toning. And I think right now it's more of my body's trying to figure out what the heck I'm doing. And so it's like it's not holding on, but it's shaping. It's using what I'm doing now and shaping, but it's still holding on to the weight just in case there's some sort of disaster that happens. And I think that I've noticed that throughout my weight loss journey, that it holds on to it for periods of time and then it'll eventually let it go. And right now what I notice is that the body is holding on to the weight, but it's also shaping it as I go. So everything that I'm doing right now is not a complete loss, because I'm noticing more muscle definition. I'm noticing more just overall energy better. But the scale is kind of stuck. But I'm okay with that because I've lost 140 pounds. It's not going back to that. Right now it's stuck and I'm okay with it because I know the body is toning and the body is doing stuff, and the body could also gain weight, and I'd be okay with it so long as I kept seeing the definition and stuff moving. Like I keep seeing body improvements. Like I keep seeing clothes shrink. I keep seeing short sizes get smaller. I can't shop anywhere, but I keep seeing short sizes get smaller. I've gone from a 52 now to a 40. I've gone from a 5X to an extra large. Just that those motivate me more than the scale ever did.
So where are you weighing at right now in your height? Like, because I seen on your Instagram the other day or last week, you're using like some compressions and all that stuff, obviously loose skin, yada yada, but like where are you at right now as far as like your weight that you're at, and obviously maybe like what the doctor was telling you had to, which obviously it's whatever you're comfortable with.
He's talked to me about the loose skin and all that stuff. I personally, I'm still at kind of that phase where I'm not sure, honestly, if it's fat or if it's loose skin. Everybody's told me it's loose skin. I still wonder if it's fat, but
a lot of it's loose skin. If you lose 140 pounds, there's a lot of loose skin.
But also, too, one thing that I've noticed that I don't have it nearly as bad as some people who have lost 140 pounds. I get lucky in that my body is pretty evenly distributed. Um, and so, like a lot of people that I've seen have lost 140 pounds, a lot of their weight sits in their gut. But for me, it kind of sits like in the entire mid, like from chest to knees. Like it kind of evenly distributes between that, which has made this journey a lot better for me because I know that the weight loss in the belly could be a lot worse. And honestly, for that, I would like if I have that the rest of my life, I'm fine with it, so long as there's not a health concern or anything like that. I'm not trying to look beautiful. It is what it is.
Well, that's my thing. When you're like, went down to an XL shirt, went down to size 40, like, that's my, you do have loose skin, so you're not going to see yourself getting down to like a size 32. Like somebody who was, say, a
Mhm.
size 42, losing weight, yes, having some loose skin, but they're going to go down to that pant size that, like, I was probably in when I was 3 years old. And that's my thing. That's why, like, John Law, like with you, because it is like he wears a size XL. Like it's because of his loose skin. Like he's never gonna go to like a size medium shirt like some people. You know what I mean? And that's one thing to always think about. You know, for you, and of course you have, is that no matter where you stop, no matter where you maintain, if you have that loose skin, you know, don't let it go to your head that,
Yeah.
oh, why ain't I in a size large, you know, or a size medium,
Oh
yada
no.
yada. I really like the fact that you're not really getting rid of the scale, but just figuring it out that it's not all about it. And I feel like that's where we all kind of. I also heard today on. Do you listen to Work for Change podcast from
My
John
wife's
and Sheen?
podcast. I'm not a
Okay,
podcaster.
you like to listen to things when you run and stuff like that. I would literally recommend. It's called Work for Change on. It's on like Spotify, iTunes, or anything like that, and it's a podcast. And they just did. I can't remember what his name is, but he was a famous actor. He was in like American History X. He was the big guy. Remember the Titans,
Oh
all that
yeah,
stuff.
the
You know what
one
I'm talking
from
about?
Remember the Titans. Yeah, I know who
Yeah.
you're talking
And
about.
so he has lost phenomenal weight, has done that. And one thing that he said was that he just kept on going when he didn't really care. You know what I mean? And the fact that he said, yes, do I weigh myself daily? Yes. Do I let that affect my life? No. I use it as data, I use it as science. And it really hit me that it is true. What we do with weight loss and dieting, meal prepping, meal planning is all a bunch of science things for our body to see what works. You know what I mean? And that's
Yeah.
obviously something you found, you know, sometimes you didn't track as much, you stalled, then you're like, well, okay, let me see what I'm eating, let me do this. And it's kind of all about that. It's a
Mhm.
whole like big old science experiment to figure out what my body is going to do next. You know what I mean? So is there anything, we got about 10 more minutes left of the live, is there anything you can think of that you kind of want to say, and then I'll ask you the final question like I asked everybody?
The one thing that I did want to say was since coming to iTrackBites, I've been an awesome tracker. I mean, of course, it's been my wife that's been like number one, but since coming to iTrackBites, it's the tracking's been so much easier. And I think one thing that helps me personally is it's not just all about the bites. It is like I double track, or I don't know what the fancy word for it is, but I use the calorie count as well. And I think one thing that I wish Weight Watchers would have done, and I think I would have tracked more then, is I wish they would have, when I was with them, had the double count. Because if I would have seen what I see now, where I use all my bites in a day, but I haven't used near all my calories in a day, I think that is something that really has helped me pushing forward because it's not all about just the
Okay, for a
bites.
second, Paul.
Uh-oh.
Oop, hold on. It's, oh, let's see. 1 second, Paul. Let me see.
Okay.
All right, are you still there? Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I'm still here.
All right. So what? There's a little technical difficulty. Sorry. So
Okay.
what are your macros like or calories like right now? That you're even if you're on Better Balance, because even if you're eating 0 point foods, you're still tracking them because to get your calorie intake.
Yeah. One thing with my calories is it depends what kind of workout I'm doing that day. But right now, ooh, that's not my password. I think my max is if I'm running a lot, it's 2,500. And if I try to keep it between the 2,000 and 2,500, just like depending on my workout. Um, but there'll be days where I max out and I'll only be at like 1,600, and I'll be like, oh, I got to get some stuff in because otherwise I'm not gonna make otherwise I'm gonna be way under for the day, and I don't like. I like to be as close to that number as possible. And so with that, just to try and just not having just the bites part really has helped me moving forward and helped me keeping wanting to track because it has just to have the double thing. And I'm not a very good multitasker, but to have both of those at one time has really helped me to keep wanting to track.
No, I love that. So, if you don't mind me asking, what's it like right now for your wife? You know what I mean? Having the spouse on there with you. Like, how is her journey? I don't really. Does she have an Instagram? Like, or is she pretty hush hush quiet on it? You know what I mean? Like, where is she at right now? Obviously in the other room, but how is
She's
she
over
doing?
there. But her she has an Instagram. Hers is pretty quiet because she's like super busy right now. She has a full time job where she's the director of life and retirement services for an insurance company, and she's also going to get her master's degree, which she will complete at the end of at the end of next month. So really, she is doing everything, but she's not just as social about it. And I feel bad about this, but uh, she's lost.
Don't get yourself in trouble.
Yeah, she's lost 50. Well, I was more going so like what her Instagram name was, but I don't remember it. If you go on mine, like she's tagged multiple times. But she has lost 50 pounds. But she's doing amazing, and I'm so proud of her. And I couldn't imagine like anybody else to do this with, honestly.
I love that so much. Wife, if you can hear this from Jordan in Indiana, bake him a cake or something like that because he is a really nice husband.
She actually she actually is watching this right now. Well, she's like listening, but like watching. And the one thing, there we go. She just tagged herself in the Facebook one. But the one thing that like she is like literally my wifey, and it's really cheesy, but so I couldn't do this without her. Honestly, she is like my rock star. She is my number one. There's nobody else that I could like. There's nobody else that I could do this with.
I love that so much. And it's not cheesy at all, honestly. So, real quick to wrap this up, I always ask every single person that I interview, pretty much when you were first starting, okay, especially into Weight Watchers, tracking all that stuff, or just overall health and wellness, when you stepped on that scale and seen that you maxed it out at the doctor's office. Going through this whole entire journey to get to 140 plus pounds, like what is something that you wish somebody local to you, somebody friend, like one of your friends, family members, would have told you, like that they would have told you that you would tell them now, like something you wish that they would have let you know, or something helpful, or just somebody that went to maintenance. Like, what's something you wish that you would have knew when you first started to where you are now?
The one thing that I have to say is everybody's journey is unique. And not everybody's going to lose the same, and not everybody's going, not basically don't base your journey off anybody else's. Your journey is your journey. It's an individualized journey because it starts with I. And there's there's nobody else that can do your journey for you. And the stuff that you're doing for your journey is not going to work for somebody else necessarily. And the one thing that I would go back and tell myself is that don't look at the outside world. Look from within for this, because your journey is going to work for you. And I'm not one of those who have lost 100 pounds in a year, or who have lost all that stuff. A lot of those, like would I want to be those? No, I wouldn't want to be those either, because I don't think that I would gain the respect for my journey that I have. And also, I don't think I would get to know know my new self as much as I have. So also, the biggest thing that I've learned is something that I didn't have at the beginning, is to love myself. Love who I am, even at the start. I love who I am now. I don't know that I necessarily love that guy at 400 pounds, because I don't know that he felt worthy of love. So the biggest thing from day one is to learn to love yourself and learn to love others, because that will get you so much farther in life and this journey. If you go through day one and be like, okay, I'm going to do this, I'm going to get through this, and basically I can do this. It's all about and there are tools that are out there to help you, but without you doing it personally, those tools will not work.
That makes total sense. That honestly makes total sense. You have to love yourself, because if you can't love yourself, then you can't love others. I mean, and I feel like so many of us don't think that way when we first start, but also to add into that, like you had said before, there's nothing wrong with you time. And you even know this as being married. You know, me and my wife have been married for 8 years. We have 2 kids. There's nothing wrong with that. It's taken us a very long time, especially for my wife, to realize that there's some times where I just want to go get in the car and drive and get a Diet Coke from McDonald's and listen to music. You know what I mean? Like just some me time. Or, there's nothing wrong with that. And I feel like a lot of people, if they can start, and I guess that goes into focusing on themselves too, because if you're like my wife, then you're always worried about other people and always worried about how they're doing it instead of focusing on yourself. You're so busy helping them out and doing everything else, to when it comes to yourself, you don't spend enough time with it. You don't spend enough time with yourself.
For sure.
To be healthy. So, alrighty. Well, Paul, this was awesome. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we're good. This was awesome. No, I lost you there for a little bit, so I hope you didn't ask me a question, because I was like,
No. No. This was awesome. Thank you so much, Paul, for joining me tonight. And I'm glad that you were able to be on here. You have a lot of people in the chat that were pretty much rooting for you the whole entire way, Paul. And a lot of them asked, hopefully you get some followers on Instagram, because a lot of them asked for your handle. So like I said, thank you so much for joining. I got to know a lot more about you than what I knew. And that just is closer at being friends. And I love that we're so close to each other, and we're only like an hour and a half away, honestly, if that. So one day, but yeah, I'm super excited. And for everybody that doesn't know, it's Phenomenal Journey. FEE Nominal Journey is what his Instagram handle is. So go ahead and give him a follow. He is following the Better Balance program on iTrackBites with calories as a second metric. And get on there, follow him, because he is daily posting all of his stuff. He's intriguing a lot of us ambassadors of seeing that he's lost 140 pounds. So it does not go unnoticed, Paul. So we appreciate you, and we appreciate your time here tonight.
Thank you, Jordan.
Yep, thank you. Alrighty, guys. Well, that is it for tonight's live. Thank you once again to Paul, and thank you for everybody that joined tonight. Always remember that the live on Instagram is good for 24 hours, and then the live is always saved on our Facebook. So if you want to replay this from the very beginning, anything like that, go ahead and get on over there. So my name is Jordan Clyde from Clyde's Daily Life. I Instablog over on Instagram, one of your iTrackBites ambassadors, and this was another amazing iTrackBites Live meeting we had. Thank you for everybody that turned out tonight. Remember, this is replayable, and go ahead and share this in your stories, share this on your feed, letting people know that iTrackBites is making a difference. You guys have a good night. I'll see you.